Hey, Star Wars fans, welcome back to episode 105, chapter 105 of Rule the Galaxy, the Rule the Galaxy podcast. It's Joe in the pilot seat, as usual, and we have got a bevy of co hosts today. We have a plethora, as El Guapo would say in Three Amigos. We have a plethora of co hosts tonight. But again, follow us as always, Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter. Email us at ruletheGalaxySW@gmail.com. Just check us out on Facebook or YouTube at Rule the Galaxy. And as I said right just a second ago, let's light this candle. I'm going to go ahead and just introduce all of our co-hosts and get this party started. Ryan, my good friend Mass, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Joe. It was a pretty good weekend. I had the big birthday party for a couple of our friends, and it was a good time. So, pretty good mood just tonight.
We're at that age where everybody's turning 50. It's kind of scary because I still feel like I'm like 12. And then my wife was at the party with us this weekend, getting the Mrs. Molinaro out there, and she had quite the s'mores mishap with marshmallows. That was a mess. That was a mess seeing her with that. So, but thank you for having us, and it was a great bonfire, great party. So, and DDoc has his headphones down, but now they're back up. DDoc from Philly area. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I want to, one thing I saw on Twitter today, I want to wish a happy birthday to Jon Favreau.
Really?
That's how I'll start off the show. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday to him.
Good for Jon Favreau. You know what? We always say in Filoni we trust here, but Favreau and him are two peas in a pod, and we love what they're doing. So yes, happy birthday, Mr. Favreau. I will always think of him as the guy from Rudy, right? Wasn't he the guy who
the tutor?
The tutor, yeah, on Rudy.
Really?
Yes.
So yeah, that's the first time I remember seeing him in anything. And look at the leaps and bounds he's changed, right? Go ahead, Matt.
I always think of him as the guy who had to go get the beer in PCU.
I never saw PCU.
You've never seen PCU?
No.
Oh.
I mean, Swingers is where I was going. So
okay. Well, happy birthday to Mr. Favreau. And I don't even know how old he is. We'll find out later on. Somebody Google that. If Alfie was here, he'd Google that. Mr. Nick Shesky, welcome back. And as Mr. Glosson just said, you look like you're in a camper there in your basement. How are you, sir?
Well, I am not in a camper. If anybody thinks I'm being held against my will, that's not true. I am great, Joe. Glad to be back on. Life's been a little crazy, a little busy, but glad to be on and looking forward to some Legions this weekend. I've been saying it for a while now, but Brent scratched the itch on Legions, and now I can't get enough, and I'll come vicariously live through his set so I don't fill my camper with it.
Yeah, Star Wars Legions is supposed to be this weekend, so we will we'll take some pics and show how great the setup there is at Brent's house. Mr. Dykeman, Brent, the biggin, how are you, sir? Long time no talk to.
yeah, I feel like I've been out of commission for a few minutes. I do want to clear the air about this Legions a little bit. You say that it's what holds me into the Star Wars universe. It's not what holds me into the universe. It is my passion that you and Mr. Shefsky and Mr. Alfie and Mr. DDoc have for, and Mr. Glosson as well, for hunting the figures. I have absolutely no drive at hunting for the figures. I hunt for my little plastic crack men that I can play this game with. So it's all because of my love of Star Wars, but it's my passion. Instead of hunting for the action figures, which is lost on me, it's hunting for these little guys, which I'm sure is lost on you guys as well. So I'll start with that. I just want to make sure I get that out there, that Star Wars is the number one reason why I am in this game.
Yes.
I just try to hunt these guys, and like with the passion you have for hunting figures.
Don't get it twisted, Joe.
To each his
Right,
own. To each
right.
his own. I will say this. I have been gifted a Legion's Ahsoka, Captain Rex, and Cara Dune. So I do have those three characters that Brent so kindly painted for me, and I've got them up on my shelves here, and they are wonderful, and they really fit with the rest of the things. My Captain Rex shelf's right in front of me, and there's the little, how tall is he? Inch and a half?
About an inch and a half is what most of them are.
Captain Rex right in front of me there. So thank you for that. Everybody's looking forward to that. this other guy who we're getting ready to introduce, he's too cool. He usually has sunglasses on when he does his show, but he can relax, take the sunglasses off, and be a part of the big Rule of the Galaxy show. Mr. Steve Glosson of Geek Out Loud. How are you, sir? Welcome back. I knew you were just with us on episode 100, but it's so great to have you back on the show.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me. Jon Favreau was Eric the Clown in Seinfeld. That's the first place I ever saw him. And then later he was Pete in Friends. Dated Monica for a while. He wanted to be the ultimate fighting champion.
Am I the ultimate fighter? No,
That's right.
I'm not.
And who can forget his turn as Foggy Nelson in the Ben Affleck version of Daredevil in the early 2000s? And apparently you all can. And then of course, Happy Hogan.
Happy, yes. And now Happy's chasing Aunt May, correct?
Yeah.
Is that the new twist on things?
Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask her, no, they're not really dating. They're just having fun.
Okay.
Oh, Happy. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he does play a good role in that, by the way. I did like, what was the one where he got blown up? Was that Iron Man 2 or 3? Where he was in the hospital most of the time.
That was Iron Man 3. That was 3. Yeah.
I liked Iron Man 3. That was a good episode right there. So you know what? Our last guest, this is his first time on the show, but I really enjoy what he does with Chewie's Cantina. And if you're a fan of Star Wars toys, Marvel toys, DC toys, a full gamut of other things, Chewie's Cantina on Facebook, you need to go check it out. They do weekly sales and get people to come on there and sell products at really good prices. And I've even bought stuff off there. And if I had more of an allowance, because I'm saving back for an Italy trip, I would probably buy more stuff. But I've got a budget. I have a budget. So, Mr. Lucas Butler, how are you, sir? Welcome to the show for the first time.
Well, thank you, and greetings from the multiverse. I tell you, it's nice to kind of bridge the gap and come over here and hang out with you guys. And congratulations on reaching that 100th episode milestone not too long ago. So that was a fun episode to listen to and to watch on YouTube. You guys did a great job. So,
well, thank you so much. So, you're the one who's been on here the least. If you want to give some people your background on maybe Star Wars fandom, sure. Toys, Chewie's Cantina in general, throw some things out there so Rule the Galaxy followers will know more about that.
Yeah, I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the galaxy, and and that happens to be in collecting. So, Chewie's Cantina it's really more than anything. It's a community. That's been our goal from the beginning. Myself, there's two other guys, Jim Arcudi, called the Candyman. He's part of our group, and he's an entertainment Earth rep or wholesaler. Okay. So he's able to help us out with a lot of stuff. Another guy named Jay Capshaw, I can't even say his name. Jay Capshaw has been a pioneer in there with us too, and he's big into 3D printing. So a lot of cool stuff comes his way, or comes out of him. So really cool community. Just kind of real quickly, rundown with the Cantina and where it came from. And some of you may be doing this right now, but we're involved in a lot of different Facebook groups with toys and all kinds of stuff like that. And, some of them were good, some of them were not so good, but they're all pretty much doing the same stuff. And we were just thinking about, even before COVID hit, we really want to create a genuine community, the best we can, and we started thinking about the different technology like you guys are using tonight. For those that are watching on the YouTube side, Zoom, and we started doing like Zoom room type deals. And then we said, what could we do, for all these Facebook sales? Could we do Zoom like that? So sure enough, we kind of took it to the next level and started doing a group hangout, and then guys would bring up stuff they wanted to pass along to other collectors, and really created a cool community out of that. Kind of started our own group, and we've done other things like movie nights. We've done, some of the podcast stuff with Steve. I mean, a whole bunch of different things have come out of it. But primarily, yes, collecting is a big deal, but our whole focus in all of it is creating a community. And so it's been a lot of fun. But, as far as my story, my big fandom is indeed Star Wars and Superman. I'm a big Superman fan as well. Okay. I didn't collect much of anything else till Steve Glosson entered my life.
That sounds like a trend.
No, listen. Look, here I was about to really put Lucas over and say some great things, and then he comes back. The thing is unfortunately collecting anything becomes so cutthroat anymore these days, and not just in the toy community, but in just about anything you do. And so that's one of the things that I really like about what Lucas and the gang have done at Chewie's Cantina is you have people that are, I mean, obviously they're not going to give stuff away when they're doing a sale, but they're also not interested in just taking you for every penny you got. A lot of times, and then if you go in the group and you're like, hey, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, a lot of times there'll be people that'll hit you up and be like, what do you need? How can I help you out? You know, and I've never come away feeling like anyone's been treated unfairly within that group. And that's rare, because you get in some of these other groups that I've run in, and I mean, you know, it's top dollar for this or top dollar for that. And don't even get me started on eBay. You know, where because of fees and everything else. And you know, I'm a capitalist. I'm all about make the money, you know, but when it comes to stuff like this, that's supposed to be fun, you know, if the minute it's not fun because, well, you can't afford to get a 3-inch tall piece of plastic, you know, it kind of becomes more frustrating than anything. And so it's just nice that there is a community there, and the guys and the gals over there have really learned to just kind of communicate and hang out. And it's something that everyone looks forward to whenever they do the sales or the hangouts or that sort of thing. And it's a really great thing Lucas has put together over there. And I need to say this: I met Lucas while he was digging through Toys R Us and Walmart on a Force Friday.
Yeah.
So I didn't know him before that. He was in deep before I ever knew him.
Okay.
I was deep into Star Wars.
Now it's gone to other things.
Yes, but you know, 2 real quick things about the Cantina, then let the party begin. You know, back to just the community aspect, just giving you some examples of kind of what it's like there. Of course, we have the sales, the hangouts, trivia shows, stuff like that. But I think it's next week we have our Chewie Spooktacular. So it'll be a Zoom room, and there's a costume contest. Last year, one of our guys won. He dressed as a Harley Quinn, affectionately now known as Harry Quinn, and he won. It was awesome. So we're looking forward to seeing what this year is going to bring next week.
He won, but everyone else lost.
Yes, that's true. That's true. It's true. The other thing is every year we do like a Christmas focus, a holiday sale, and we have like a mystery box. The guys and gals don't know what's in it, and they bid blindly on it, and the proceeds all go to a local family that's in need. So it's really cool. Just the heart of that group and just throwing it together. I mean, yeah, you've got some shenanigans every now and then. People are people.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's all good.
So that is awesome. That is great. And we all talk about community here all the time because Star Wars fandom gets such a bad rap a lot of times with all the craziness in the world. But what you guys are doing and what we try to do with our show is like that. I'm going to head to Brent, but first, Brent, before you hit me with your question, how many communities are you a part of on Facebook when it comes to Star Wars Legion?
Oh, I've just joined a couple of Discords too, so I'm getting into that world as well, which is a new social media for all the 20-somethings. So I'm probably in like 6 different ones for the Legion, the terrain, making the terrain, and all that stuff. Yeah, and then there's 2 or 3 different Discords that I'm in now. I'm sick. It's okay.
Discord. I have no idea what you're talking about.
We're all sick.
Okay. Yeah, we are sick. Go ahead.
So two questions. One, are you also part of the South Georgia crew? Because you got this thick accent. And then 2, since you're on, one of my favorite questions to ask, because we've had this long running argument about lightsaber hilts. What is your favorite lightsaber hilt?
Good question. Little background on lightsabers. They're a huge deal at my house right now. My middle son, he's really good with money, but he's also a collector. And we went to Galaxy's Edge right after the first. What is it, Steve?
That's an oxymoron. You can't be a collector and be good with money.
He's a wise collector. Let me finish my story, Steve. Okay. So after the first year we went to Galaxy's Edge, he already had on the list, okay, these are the legacy lightsabers I'm going to buy. Okay. So I can't remember which ones he bought, but he bought like 3 or 4. Money he'd saved up from birthdays and all this stuff. I mean, those are pricey. So he gets those, and then he watches which ones retire. Then he sells those and buys two more. I mean, so he's got quite a collection of these legacy lightsabers and Black Series sabers and stuff. But to break it all down, for me, my favorite is always going to be Jedi Luke's. I mean, just the classic.
The green Jedi Luke?
Green, yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. I've got to stick with that. I mean, I know there's a bunch of other cool ones out there. He's got a bunch of neat ones. Yeah, the Jedi Luke is always going to be the best. So there we go. There it is. There it is.
Yeah, no, that is great. That is great. Yeah, I love what you guys are doing, and I appreciate it. And I don't know, I guess because I started listening to Steve, and then I started hearing Scott Rifen, and then I was like, well, these guys talk to Lucas. I was like, man, I love seeing what he's doing. You're right. It is like kind of like there's a whole Georgia, mafia of Star Wars down there. I think it's
I'm not even from Georgia, so I don't know how that
works. But then again, we're that in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a auxiliary branch on the East Coast with Dave.
Consider this, man. You've talked to 3 people in Georgia for Star Wars fans.
I thought that's all there was in Georgia, were 3 people.
Oh, there's
more than that.
There's tons more. If you want to do a podcast on deer hunting, you could fill the Zoom up and just get a line out the door. So.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, you know what? Again, tonight there wasn't a ton of Star Wars news, unless I missed it. And honestly, I've been working my behind off so much in the last week that I probably missed a ton of news. I think the only news I have on my end is that one, I did get the Darth Maul 3 3/4. I got some of those. These are beautiful. Love them. And so you know what? I do need to hook up with you guys with Jim, because I have an account with Entertainment Earth, and I'm kind of like the feeder for all these guys here. I should just go right through him and just say the heck with it. Here's what my order is from everybody, because I'm not good at it. I try, but I'm not good at it. But the other thing that I did was I finished Heir to the Empire, the audiobook with Mark Thompson, and I'm halfway through Dark Force Rising. And I tell you what, guys, we talked about it recently. I'm just in love with it. It rekindles that feeling. I know it's not canon. I know it's this, that, whatever. And we talked about it. What's canon, what's not canon. I go back to those books. I'm like, man, such fond memories, just such good things that brought me back to it. So on my end, that's kind of what I've been around. Anybody else do anything Star Wars based, buy anything? I know I saw some tweets and texts and things like that. Brent, go ahead.
All right. So first, if you ever followed Big and 7878 on Twitter, stop following them. This is just this is a public service announcement. I was hacked a couple weeks ago. So you mentioned Twitter, so I want to throw that out there. Public service announcement. I was hacked. I have created a new one. Twitter is not that important to me. But you did mention when you were talking to Mark Newbold about trying to find some Italian language things.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know that each country has their own eBay? So if you go ebay.it, that it is an Italian language eBay. Google will do the same thing. You can go like .de, and that's your German language. So everything will be in German language, and it's more focused on those individual countries. If you go .aus, I don't know if it's AUS or AU.
Just AU. .au.
It's Australian.
Yeah.
So just because I heard you talk about that, I went online to ebay.it to try to find some things. There was a Boba Fett that had the American language, and then it had the Spanish language, and then it had, there were different titles on
it. Logo.
Yeah. So there was like 3 or 4 different logos on it. And it was a couple years ago, like the 95 series and line. And then on the back, it had all the multiple languages and descriptions. It was selling for €58. So if you really wanted to throw that out there, I'm just going to say that was there.
Okay.
I also tried to find some of the novels. I only found one, but I didn't see the inside of it. So I couldn't guarantee that it was all in Italian. It would just be, I think it was like the novelization of Star Wars, the first A New Hope. But anyway, I was messing around. I just didn't know if anybody who was a collector, if you want to try to get some foreign language stuff and see if they're posting things off that doesn't necessarily show up on eBay, you can put ebay.fr and you'd get the French language. Go to Google Translate, and you can then translate whatever you want to search. So each different country has its own kind of.
You got it.
language.
That's helpful. I've never really shopped like that. Nick, go ahead.
Brent, you're telling me that you don't tweet in Arabic?
Oh,
I
yeah, just
mean,
put-
I
have
thought that
many
was you,
talents.
man.
I have many talents. But that may not be one of them.
Oh, I got you. Okay. All right. I'll unfollow your account.
Okay, so that's good. Let's do that. Biggin 7878. Scratch that off everybody's list. I did see. I'll throw this around the room here. Star Wars Galaxy of Creatures animated shorts. That's coming out on Disney Plus. Has anybody seen, heard of, looked into this at all? Star Wars Galaxy of Creatures animated shorts. Any interest in it at all? It's going to go around to all the creatures across the saga and other movies.
Is this going to be like a David Attenborough thing? Behold the bantha.
First of all, if that would make I'm locked in. That is appointment viewing. If it is going to be with Dave Attenborough voiceover, that would be amazing.
A mighty desert wandering beast used as a pack animal.
I don't think so. I have a
I'd
feeling.
watch that.
Oh my God,
Me
yes.
too.
And here comes the dewback. On Camino.
I had no idea we were going this direction. Okay.
Great here. You can go anywhere.
Steve, I like that a lot.
I mean, how great would that be? Like a Star Wars Planet Earth kind of thing, you know?
So all the other ones that they've put out have just been like vignettes and just like now their biomes one was it was really cool to use as like a screensaver, but it's not necessarily something that was like worth going back to all the time. But the flyovers of the different environments was cool. But if it's David Attenborough doing a voiceover of the Rancor and the
the mighty Rancor.
I have way too much ADD for that biomes. Like if I had that on in the background, I would just sit and watch that all day. I couldn't do it.
You know what, tomorrow, because I'm going to work from home tomorrow, I might just have it on the screen right behind me as I'm looking at my computer and just see the background of the location. So, Mass, have you seen what we're talking about, the biomes or the fly-throughs of the ships or anything like that on Disney Plus?
I haven't watched that yet. No.
Okay. Well, it's definitely it's better. Well, Brent would probably say it's a lot better than Star Wars Droids on Disney Plus. but it's interesting. I think Brent once said you'd want to have the biomes on, like if you're having a cocktail party, and just have it with the sounds and the views on your screen in your living room. So yeah, that was interesting. Well, okay, so Galaxy of Creatures not looking like it's really made for us, and it's not hitting a home run with any of us, so that's okay. I will say this, Nick and DDoc, maybe your young ones will like it and check out the Galaxy of Creatures.
Oh no, a Minoc has attached itself to the Star Freighter.
Sounds like the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them version of Star Wars.
I don't want a David Attenborough. I want a Steve Glosson narrating this. So let's kickstart this thing. And,
you know what? Let's do this. Let's view them and have you do the voiceover on them. We'll record it.
Yeah.
And let's see what people think. Let's have them vote.
Don't worry, I'll be clipping that. I'll be clipping that and posting that to Twitter without a doubt.
The Kowakian monkey lizard. A pet.
He's very
used as a
sad.
pet for some gangsters. And it's a delicacy on planets like Navarro.
It is. And Batu.
I didn't know about Batu.
Yeah, Batu in the one of the grills.
They're cooking a Kowakian monkey lizard on Batu.
Yeah, they got
You
them.
can buy them there too.
Yes, you can. Next one was we had a good conversation last week about the Galactic Star Cruiser and how we probably can't afford that to start. But I did see that Star Wars is coming out with a Halcyon Legacy mini comic series that's going to go 4 or 5 issues and go across from the High Republic until the sequel trilogy and show you something that went on the Galactic Cruiser that will be at Galaxy's Edge. Does that comic interest any of you? Does it make you go, this will make me learn more about the Galactic Cruiser? Does it make you want to spend the $4,500? Lucas, you know what? I'm going to go to you and Mass because do you have any interest in that comic? Do you think it will help you want to go see the Galactic Cruiser for $4,500 or more for a weekend?
Negative. That is no, not at all.
Okay.
So, first off, I can't spend that kind of money on it. I'm lucky I have this room right here. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a marketing deal. We all know that, and we're not stupid. And I'm not. I know there's different variations of favoritism for the different aspects of the eras, from High Republic to everything. I'm not a High Republic fan. I started that way, and then I went a different direction, so I have no interest in hearing those stories. The only interest that I would have is see where it dips into the the original stuff or the prequel stuff. But yeah, I'm not it's no interest here. And really, honestly, I'm not much of a comic book guy, other than just I like to look at it for the pictures, I guess. I don't know. Am I that kind of guy? I don't know. So
I think Mass's quote from the last show was, "That's why I don't read the comics." Was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. DDoc, do you think it sounds like this is more kiddish? I would assume this is more of a kiddish comic book. Do you think it's something you and your youngsters would check out before? No, we're getting no's.
No, I don't think so. If I got to read a comic book to understand what's going on at Galaxy's Edge, it just, not Galaxy's Edge, at the hotel.
Okay, Mass.
Yeah, if I have to do that, then that furthermore proves that I want to know who's game planning for these things that they're doing.
Okay, Mass, you had your hand up. Did you have a follow up to that?
Yeah, I bet Alfie's got them on pre-order, and they'll be there in 2024.
For Steve and Lucas, I know you listen to our show every week because we are, one of the top Star Wars podcasts out there. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of a running joke because Alfie was ordering everything as he always does and didn't realize that one of the things he ordered was a year and a half off, like before it was coming.
The Boba Black Series helmet.
Yeah. So he was calling saying, "Where is it? I'm not even seeing it shipped yet." And they're like, "Sir, that's for another. That'll be
2024."
Yeah. He was not happy about that. But we like to check in with him from time to time to see when it's coming.
As if the frosty climate wasn't enough. When traveling the slopes of Hoth, you may have to deal with the dreaded Wampa.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh gosh. I might just pause and let those happen from time to time. If you see me, if I do this, that means just go, Steve. Just go with one of those.
Why this? Why are you covering up your face?
I mean, I'm covering so you can go ahead and do what you want to do. I'm not even going to
evil. See no evil. See no evil.
So I don't know if you guys know this or not. I'm hoping that Steve will tell me there is a good answer for this. Well, no, I hope he'll tell me there's a positive answer for this. Listening to Rebel Force Radio recently, and they were doing some nice throwbacks. Mr. Glosson was on there, and they just happened to pull out old Steve Glosson Star Wars songs. For any of you who have not heard them, they are fantastic. Steve, I have to ask you, because our good friend, the Zobologist from It's True, All of It in Australia, has, I think, his stuff's posted everywhere. He makes songs every week for Star Wars. Is there, besides Rebel Force Radio, a place for people to go and hear the fantastic Steve Glosson Star Wars related songs?
Be careful not to poke the Loth cat, or it will claw your eyes out.
You can go to his house. Go to his house.
Yeah, just hang out with me a couple of days. There is nowhere currently. I don't remember. There may be one or two that are up on my Patreon, but I've not released them. I've not released them to the masses because with all of them, I was using a karaoke track, and that I downloaded and used, so I can't really
licensing.
So
on and so forth.
I can't really get too crazy. So Rebel Force Radio, and really because we didn't have time to play, like, they're full songs, and we did some for the Big Honkin' Show back in the day, but I don't know that those are on the Big Honkin' Show website or not, about different things. Good buddy Shaz Bazaar did a few for me and with me, and so I'm not as prolific as a lot of people are. Every now and again, I'll just have inspiration strike. About every 5 years, I'll have inspiration strike and sit down and do something.
Okay.
But that's kind of what that was about.
Well, since you don't want to get them out and get in trouble or whatever, anytime you want to email links over or anything like that to the Rule the Galaxy crowd, I'm sure we'd be happy to hear them. So I just really enjoy them. I was driving along and they started bringing out some of the oldies, and I was like, wow, I have not heard this in forever and a day.
Yeah, yeah. I could have done without them playing most of them, all of them, to be honest with you. I'm just sitting there like, why are you doing this to me, guys? This is ridiculous.
So Brent brought up a good topic on a text to me earlier today, because I told him, I was like, guys, we're just gonna have fun tonight. There's no major theme. We're just gonna kind of go through some silliness and introduce Lucas to our group and just have some fun. But as Brent said, with us getting closer to Halloween, there's stuff on StarWars.com, which we can all go to that. But if we're looking around the room here and talking about this, Halloween's coming up. We're thinking frightful things, scary things. What is the scariest creature, the scariest villain, the scariest setting in the Star Wars universe to you? So I'll give everybody a second to think about it. And Brent already brought this up, so we'll start with Brent if he has any thoughts on what his scariest either creature or villain or setting or anything like that in the Star Wars universe as we get ready for Halloween.
So the creepiest villain when he showed up for the first time was Darth Maul. Like, that dude scared me. I was 18, 19 years old ish. I can't do the math, but I was a high school senior, and that dude was creepy and scary looking. And I believe that was the purpose of him. So I will go with villain being Darth Maul was always up there. I will also say that there was something about Bespin, and it wasn't like the apartments of Bespin. I don't know if it's because of the Ugnaughts or if it was because the lower bowels of Bespin and where you find C-3PO and he gets blasted apart. And there was just some where they keep Chewie and Han once Vader shows up. There is just something that's sinister about Bespin that I always kind of, as I was thinking about this after I sent it to you. And then creature, I would love, it kind of segues into the whole David Attenborough as well, because like it was gonna be the wampum, but he already did his wampum. So his info, because there was something about like, I think it was the unknown. So as a kid, it was just the claw, right? You didn't even know what the wampum looked like as a kid, I was trying to create what this image of this animal should be. No, I didn't read the novelizations. No, I didn't have any of the other comics or anything to give me an idea of what it looked like. So it was just that claw. And then when they went back when they added it back in, when they added him in, there's something about that wampum that is just kind of terrifying to me. It'd be him or the Rancor. So,
okay, I like that. And those lower levels of Bespin, when they get down there in that lighting, when the carbon freezing chamber, that you can make a haunted house out of that right there. I mean, that would be a good lighting color scheme for that. Nick Shesky, if you're prepared, I'm going to throw some your way and see what your thoughts are on that.
I am prepared. I would say scariest like Star Wars thing that I've seen up to this point in the Bane novels, when Darth Xana does her Sith sorcery. That, I mean, like straight up, first time I listened to that audiobook, it gave me chills. Just thinking of, I can force project visions into your mind of your worst nightmare. So much so that you like claw your own eyes out, terrifying stuff. And so I would say for that to me is by far some of the scariest stuff. As far as like creatures go, or as far as setting, kind of like what Brent was talking about, man, I don't know. I would have to say, anything that deals in the Sith. So like the forests of Yavin, like we get some in the comic books. We see Darth Vader, fighting through some stuff. You see Darth Bane fighting through some stuff, like just some scary creatures that just like prey on fear. That's the stuff that kind of freaks me out.
Okay. So we've gone straight from movies to comics and novels. That's a good mix right there. Lucas, I'll hit you up. What are some things that that hit you as being scary or frightening related to Star Wars?
I guess creature wise, I would definitely go with some of those, whatever those fish things were in episode 1. Dude, when they are in the planet core,
there's always a bigger fish.
Oh yeah.
Golly, I remember watching that. I was a college student, and I was scared to death. No, just freaky seeing those guys come out of there. Far as, and this is fairly new, so hopefully this isn't spoiler or anything. But right now, I'm working through the new novel, the Star Wars Visions Ronin novel.
Okay,
doing the Audible. And about done with it. And there's some good things and not so great things in the book. And I'll leave it at that. But there's this concept in there of basic, not Force ghosts, but kind of a post-mortem kind of indwelling of dead Jedi. And there's a Sith witch and stuff. And man, that's some creepy mess. I'll just be honest with you. But it's cool. It's really cool. There's some other things, like I said, I wish they could have left that out. But so that was the first time in Star Wars, like, where in the world? And I know there's the argument, is that canon or not? But hey, it's Star Wars. I paid for a credit on Audible and I listened to it, and it was good. Location, I gotta say, I guess on Dagobah, the little dark side cave, man. When I was a kid watching that, I'm like, Luke, don't go in there. Don't go in there. Yoda's like, no, leave your weapons here. I know I'm paraphrasing. Use your weapon. I know Steve's got it memorized, but leave your weapons here. The dude goes in there with his weapons, and it's not enough. Okay.
Right.
I remember as a kid, I was scared. I was scared like crazy. So yeah, those are my 3. But I would encourage you to check out the Star Wars Visions Ronin. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but it's an interesting addition, if you will. So
okay. Mass, how about you?
It all goes back to the, when I'm 5 years old and Darth Vader first comes on there, the opening scene when he comes through there, that scared me. And then the executioner droid, when he comes in there to get Leia, and it's got all the needles and stuff, and that scared me. And then the trash compactor scene scared me a lot when I was a kid. The snake coming up there, and they're all getting crushed. So yeah, that's what was scary for me.
I like it. We're bringing the new, the old all together. I like that a lot. DDoc, how about you?
I was actually going to say, I tried to start my kids with it. When Kylo Ren shows up in Force Awakens, he's actually pretty intimidating. When he first comes in and he stops Poe Dameron's shot, and that whole scene is pretty dark to start off that movie. So I'm going to give Kylo Ren the shout out on that, and then I'm going to go, which actually got me into you guys listening to Rule the Galaxy, the Death Troopers book, when they show up on the ship and they have the lungs of all the zombie stormtroopers that makes a scream. I remember I was listening to that audiobook, man, and I was like, this is the first time Star Wars is kind of creeping me out. But that whole Death Troopers book, man, that's a great Halloween Star Wars book right there.
Yeah, I've heard some people say it's one of their favorite novels right there. Big Steve, besides the money we spend on Star Wars, what is scary or frightening to you about Star Wars?
Well, look, all great answers, and I can't top any of them. I will tell you, to me, the scariest moment in all of Star Wars takes place when Luke Skywalker looks at Yoda and says, "I'm not afraid." And that little demon-possessed puppet looks back at him and he says, "You will be."
That's right.
And I'm like, all right, and Luke just has this look on his face like, I am now. You've done it. You've succeeded. I absolutely agree with Lucas. The cave scene was always kind of creepy because Darth Vader just suddenly shows up out of nowhere. And if you're, especially if you're a kid and you can't quite put 2 and 2 together as to what's going on, it's a freaky thing. Jabba's palace to me as a child really kind of put me at, I was never really super at ease in watching the movie, especially for the first time. And then when I got the toys and was able to play with them and stuff, like it made it a little more palatable to me. The Emperor, when he shows up and he's a wrinkly chin, in Jedi behind a cloak, and it's all is proceeding as I have foreseen it, and you're just like, what? This guy's is he dead? Is he like a, and when he starts to just bear down on Luke, it's horrifying. I think they accomplished a little bit of that actually in Rise of Skywalker at the very beginning, when the Emperor shows up, and he returns and he's got the blank eyes and everything, which is always creepy. As far as the creature goes, I submit to you the Gorax from the Ewok Adventure, aka Caravan of Courage. That monster at the end of that thing, like he's a pig-nosed, big-eared, furry, scary thing. Like, and again, it all comes back a lot of times with me to nostalgia, and remembering how I felt as a kid watching that. And I remember rushing home from church on a Sunday night. We actually went to some friend's house after church that night, and we got there, turned on ABC, and got into it, and we're watching it. And then when this thing shows up, when it was over, I'm like, it's like a mix between a Wookiee and a Rancor and something else. It's absolutely terrifying. And oh my gosh, that was one of the greatest things we've ever seen. I can't wait till they bring the toy out of that. So so those things, as far, and like, I guess I covered the bases. I just want to say this: the trash compactor monster is known as the Dianoga. You may think you're merely throwing away your soda can, but you're feeding this beast in the bowels of the Death Star.
As soon as you said trash compactor, he went right to the microphone. I was aware.
It's coming.
He had it loaded.
Yep.
He had that loaded.
Oh my gosh.
All these fit the bill for me right here. I mean, you guys hit on everything. It's great stuff, and you're right. I mean, it also comes back to like being a certain age and seeing it. I was 10 when Empire came out, and going into that cave, and Yoda saying "you will be," you're like, I'm a little scared for Luke right now, right?
To this day, I'm a grown man, and that part still scares me.
I think it's his face.
Yeah,
it's the face. It's the face that shows up that freaks me out. It's not. I don't think it's Vader's as much as when he lops his head off, his mask explodes, and it's Luke's face. That was always what tripped me out.
That was a little creepy. But one of the things that got me once I got into the other parts of Star Wars besides the movies, like the Clone Wars, the one that got me on the Clone Wars was the Brain Invaders, when they went back to Geonosis, and they had those slugs or whatever that would go up your nose and eat away at the brain of the clones and all that stuff. And they had that huge queen who was just shooting out the stuff. I mean, that was down in those tunnels, no light. That was just a freaky episode. And then seeing at the end when what was it, Ahsoka and Barriss
Sophie,
and they had to freeze that thing that's coming out of her mouth at her. You want to talk about some great horror scenes in an animated show. That one right there, I'll always remember that series right there. Did anybody else have any comments? Nick, I think I saw your hand go up on that.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and then I thought as well too. I thought it was funny. We went around the whole circle, and nobody brought up Dathomir. So, like, if you play the Fallen Order video game, that place is terrifying. Yeah, like so much so that like I'm a grown man, and I'm like playing that game in the middle of the day because I'm like, man, I'm not messing around with this crap. I'm not messing around with
lights on, back to the wall. Yeah,
come on, right? Like it's freaky, from the bosses you fight to the the Night Sisters coming out of the cocoons, like that stuff. It's freaky. They did a good job.
That was another one that in the animated series where Dooku went back to battle him, right? And that's where the dead Night Sisters came out of the.
That's it. That's what made me think Clone Wars. Yeah.
Yeah. Dave and Brent.
Also, when Darth Maul shows up in Clone Wars, I was actually watching that because I've watched a couple episodes of Clone Wars with my little guy. He's 4 going on 5, and like I'm easing him into it. And we watched the Darth Maul episode recently, and when Darth Maul is on the ship and he's like freaking out and stuff, I was kind of looking over at him like, I'm like, are you all right, buddy? He's like, it's a little scary. I'm like, we can turn it off, because he's like talking about Kenobi and stuff, and he's like really like in a trance. So
Well,
like you said, it's crazy.
When he's there on the trash planet, and he's like madman rambling and stuff, and he's like it's what goes on in here that's really scary, and of course that's after what's his face been like, is that you, brother? Is that you, brother? Is that you, brother?
Is that when he's got the spider legs? Is that
he's got and they're like just held together by the force. Like if you look closely, there's none of them connected. It's all just kind of like sheer will that's holding that stuff together. It's really crazy.
That was a creepy scene too, because of that snake or whatever that brought them down there. Brought a Savage, sorry.
Well, that goes to the Mortis trilogy too. When they're on Mortis and Ahsoka is in the cell, and that little critter's in there with her, And what's really interesting, by the way, little Easter egg here. Listen to that little critter's dialogue, and then listen to what Darth Maul is saying when they first find him on that trash planet. A lot of the same things are being said by those two beings. And it's really crazy. But that little guy is freaking. Then he bites Ahsoka, and she goes all dark. And so you've got dark Ahsoka, and then you've got like the fullness of dark Anakin on that planet, there in Mortis. And it's just that's a whole wild thing, and that gets a little scary in that deal.
Yeah, little kids watching Mortis, probably not a good one right there. Brent, you were going to say something.
All I was going to say was I love the fact that we're sitting here and I think every major property has been mentioned. There's video games, there's books, there's novels, there's comic books. Every major version of Star Wars, somebody has and can find something terrifying from. And then I also was going to add to that on StarWars.com. You've hit on a couple of the episodes, like the one that I don't remember that you were talking about with the bugs that eat the brains. The one that we didn't mention, though, a lot of like that came up in the article was Grievous's Lair. That episode with Grievous's Lair. Yeah. That was kind of a mind bender / kind of creepy, terrifying one. But other than that, like I feel like I just think it's cool that no matter what entry point we have, how old we are, we all find and can find something from each of the different worlds that we've latched onto. It actually kind of creeps us out and terrifies us.
I like that too, Brent. Good call. Before we've got a question here from the Dave M. Jones, which I want to get to everybody. So we'll get to that. But I want to bring this up with Lucas and Steve here because this is one of Mass's favorite topics, and you guys hit on it. So I want to Mass, your big thing with Darth Maul is he fell down 1,000-foot shaft. I forget, cutting in half. He shouldn't have been back. But then by the time you got to season 7 of the Clone Wars, you got it. But that's still a huge problem for you, right? The whole.
Yes, it is. It's still. Thank you for bringing that up again. Yeah. He was cut in half.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the end of the story for me.
So when I've tried to get Mass, I was like, oh, you got to check out Clone Wars. It's good. It'll lead you into other things and make you like the prequels even more. All this because Mass was not a prequel person. He just was like, Joe, he's cut in half, and now he's back. I don't get it. I don't like it. Season 7 again, though, he was like, I kind of dig this right here. But Steve and Lucas, when it comes to the Darth Maul thing, did either one of you have a big problem with that? Or could you be like, oh, you know what? I'm letting my mind go. It's George, it's Filoni. Let's just see what happens. And I'm going along for the ride.
Dark side magic. That's what it is. It's dark side magic. Now, yeah, I mean, of course, dude is cut in half, but it's a cool story. The guy shows up with spider legs talking out of his head. And then all of a sudden, he's back on the scene. Because we all have to admit, he was an awesome villain. So when he got it in episode 1, we're like, really? That's all we get? So to get him back was just phenomenal. But, I realized his revival, if you will, was apart from Palpatine. But after reading some of the other stuff like Darth Plagueis, man, that's like changed my whole perspective on all the dark side stuff anyway. So yeah, they're able to live. I mean, they could fall down the shaft there and just supposedly die and come back and be cloned or whatever. But I mean, all that's possible when it comes to dark side magic, Sith technology. As I noted earlier with the Ronin book, I mean, Sith witches resurrecting people. Hey, there's no end.
Mother Talzin, and Mother Talzin's the one who brought him brought him back full circle again. Steve, any thoughts from you on that?
Well, sure. I think you've got to go to what inspired Star Wars in the first place, and that is those old movie serials like Flash Gordon. And in Flash Gordon, at the end of everything, Ming, the Merciless, would fall to his death, would be blown up, something would happen. But the truth of the matter is Ming never dies. And so there was always some way that they would bring him back. Same thing if you read comics, if you do it, and all of these serialized means of storytelling, soap operas, Joey Tribbiani fell down Dr. Drake Ramori falls down the elevator shaft. They bring him back later in someone else's brain, that kind of thing. And it's like, it's ridiculous and it's out there, but but what it does cause you to do is sit and think, now, how does this, within the context of this universe, how does this happen? And he tells you when he's sitting there ranting and raving, he's a madman, and he has been driven to the point of death and absolute despair and madness. But in his ravings, there keeps coming back that one name, Kenobi, Kenobi, Kenobi. It is his absolute hate and anger with Kenobi that drives him and pushes him to stay alive. There's a great scene and again, I know it's not canon, but let's just stop saying that. Let's just agree that we like Star Wars and there's some Star Wars stuff that's good stuff, and you can take the principles from that and apply it to now. Oh my gosh, Shadows of the Empire, the novel that was written that takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. There's a scene where Darth Vader is there in his meditation chamber, and he's mustering all the anger and hate he can to try to heal what is broken in his body so he doesn't have to depend on the life support so much. And he's there, and it describes the tissue growing back and everything coming back to life in the right way, and he's finally able to breathe again on his own, and that brings him peace. And when that peace comes, everything goes away, because he'd been tapping into anger and hate and everything that drives the dark side to bring about that healing. And so Darth Maul is doing the same thing. The difference is there's no conflict in Darth Maul, and he was absolutely mad with insanity, but he was angry and hateful toward the one that put him in that position, because he was a proud joker, man. He knew he was going to go in there to that hangar and take out those Jedi. He already handled the master, Qui-Gon, and it's his pathetic little Padawan that actually got the better of him. And so yeah, he's absolutely furious when that all comes to play. And then what you see in his story arc, from the time that he is healed mentally and then given those robotic legs forward, that his drive is continuously vengeance, not just vengeance against Kenobi, but vengeance against the Emperor. And I love there's a line in the Clone Wars where he says, "In that Sith pretender," and he's talking about Dooku there when he says that, because he's recognizing that he's not gone. So Dooku has no business in that spot, or Tyrannus has no business in that spot as apprentice. And so yeah, I think if you go back to it, do you have to stretch stretch the bounds of suspension of disbelief? Sure you do. But if you're able to accept, there are wizards that are police of the galaxy in a galaxy far, far away, and
A long
they have
time
these,
ago.
if you're able to accept all that, then to me, it's just one more step to say, all right, he came back, and I can come up with some canonized reasons why.
Brent, I'm going to go to you.
Beautiful, Steve.
It was.
I was just gonna.
Beautiful.
That was incredible.
I was just sitting through a masterclass of things that I'd never thought of, because I honestly have never thought of Darth Maul in that way. However, I'm going to steal something from Nick, and I'm going to pull a book in. Darth Bane, he gets the obelisk attached to his back, and he didn't want the obelisk to go, one, because they were protection for him, but because they kept biting into his skin and causing the pain and making him stronger because of that pain. That was also talked about in Plagueis, I believe, too. Plagueis was okay, and so I never put the two and two together like you just so eloquently did and gave me the masterclass. But two of those books, Plagueis and the Pain, and then the Obelisks, and I think it's the second book of the Bane series, where he gets attached to him and they just keep feeding him his power. He likes it because it's protection. At the same time, it's giving him that pain and that suffering. I just never applied that to Maul until you just spoke. So thank you.
Okay. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad I could bring you some joy.
That's
in
all,
Star
folks.
Wars.
There we go. Thanks so
Wow.
much. Yeah, you could have done a Costanza right there and just stood up and walked off. That was good.
In the porous caverns of the Naboo core lives the Colo clawfish. These immense underwater carnivores have a natural phosphorescence that gives its eel-like skin an eerie glow. Beware when traveling in a Sabona Bonko, for they may just bite down on you.
Dave,
Can
I
we
hope
make these
you-
the intros
Yeah.
for the show?
Yeah.
Like we have all the other ones. Can we make this
Oh my
the intro
God.
for the show?
What about the thing Obi-Wan was writing? You got to do one for the thing that Obi-Wan wrote in episode 3.
Oh yeah.
Man.
I had to figure out what that was called. Hold on
Yeah.
just a second.
You'll
I'll
figure
get my
it out. I'm
encyclopedia.
sure.
But Dave, DDoc, this was to say, while they were talking about it, they hit on Shadows of the Empire, and you've been saying that's going to be one of the ones you read next, and he hit on it. I mean, there are some really good, fun things in Shadows of the Empire that, again, they've been wiped out with whatever comic or whatever now, but man, that was just a fun read and a fun listen if you do an audiobook and everything else. But some really good points there on that. So while Steve's looking for the creature, and I know we all know the name, but while Steve's looking for the creature, Dave M. Jones, I'll start this one. He asked us on Twitter our favorite sci-fi movies outside of Star Wars. I think he and Alfie were talking about it. Outside of Star Wars, favorite sci-fi movies. I have a ton of superhero movies that are really favorites of mine. But when it came to sci-fi, I was like, man, I really kind of got to dig down a little bit deeper into that. But I thought I'd go around while Mr. Attenborough or whatever is getting ready to speak on that point. Mass, I'm going to start with you. Thoughts on science fiction movies outside of Star Wars that you really enjoyed or really liked? Could be one, it could be a couple, whatever. Or are there any that you really liked outside of Star Wars movies?
I would have to go back to the first time that I saw Highlander.
Okay.
And that kind of blew me away. That was a really good movie, and I wasn't expecting it. And then they made a series about it after that, and I thought that was pretty good. So that's one of my favorites. And I'm one of the few people, I think, who liked the Dune movie, the one that came out in the 80s with Kyle MacLachlan and
Sting?
then Sting. Yes, I actually enjoyed it. My dad to this day hates that movie, but
That's
yeah,
right. My dad hates Star Wars, so there we go. And we are planning on going to see Dune, so I'm really excited and looking forward to that. So, okay, so Highlander and Dune, I like that. Okay, that's good mix right there. Lucas, how about you? Sci-fi movies outside of Star Wars.
Where we're going, we don't need roads. Back to the Future, man. That trilogy is legit.
It's a great answer. That
Can
is a
make
great
like a
answer,
tree and
Lucas.
get out of here. You know?
Which one is the best though? Which one is the best?
I really, really like 2. I really like Back to the Future 2.
Really?
Yeah, I love 1. But I really like 2. 3, it's good, but I mean, I could take it or leave 3. But
That's awesome.
yeah, I love 2. But yeah, I could sit and watch those all day. I mean, if Star Wars is not available for me, it's going to be Back to the Future. In fact, just the other day, I was at the old Wally World and I was, perusing the toy aisles. None of us ever do that. I know I'm the only one that struggles with this. So I'm opening up to you guys here.
Sure.
And I saw
it's a safe space.
It's a safe place. Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate this intervention that you've arranged for me. But I was walking down the toy aisle and there it was, Back to the Future DeLorean for I think $4 or $5. Had to grab that joker, put it on my
Are
desk.
you kidding me?
Yeah, and the doors open and everything. I mean, it's awesome. You can even see the flux capacitor back there. Yes. And I think it's just, the whole idea of, going back in time and, all that,
Gotta
wife-
get back in time.
My wife had never
1.21
seen
gigawatts.
any of those movies. So I made her one rainy day during COVID. I was like, we're watching them. And we went 1, 2, 3, right? She was in and out of the second and third one but she was like, I'm glad I did it. It was entertaining, but you're right. Those are some great movies right there. So
well, even tonight we took 2 of my 2 oldest boys. We went out to eat dinner and my oldest was talking about assignment. They've been reading and watching some stuff about time travels. He had to write an essay on time travel today. So he's talking about different movies, and I was like, and he never brought up Back to the Future. And I was like, Back to the Future, right? And he goes, no, Dad, no, our teacher didn't bring that up. That's not what we watched. I was like, does your teacher even have a degree? We're talking about Back to the Future. That's, the essence of time travel. I mean, even in Endgame, they use Back to the Future technology. I mean, they're talking about, or is it Infinity War? Which one? Infinity War, I think they talk about it.
Endgame.
You're right. It's Endgame.
Yep.
It is Endgame. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's formed all that we know about time travel. I mean, and Quantum Leap. Okay.
Quantum Leap. Scott Bakula, right?
Yeah, Scott Bakula and Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
So.
DDoc, how about you? Science fiction movies outside of Star Wars.
See, I struggle with this because in my mind, I put sci-fi and fantasy into one category. So I would choose Lord of the Rings, but some people might consider that fantasy. Sci-fi, I choose Star Wars. There you go.
Yeah, okay. All right. It is tough. I mean, honestly, I started thinking about it and I was like, well, I mean, is that really, I don't know. So Nick Shesky, the young pup of the group right here, you've got probably a different perspective than the rest of us. Outside of Star Wars, your favorite sci-fi movies?
I will preface this by saying that if it takes place in space, I'm going to watch it. Like, I'm all about it. Let's do it. I would say my favorite, though, outside of the Star Wars universe, is Interstellar. One of my favorite movies of all time. It deals, in fact, Brent Dykman, with time slippage. Thank you very much. We'll come full circle on that and hit that again.
Time slippage.
But I love that. I'm also a huge fan of the Star Trek movies. So like Star Trek First Contact, one of my favorite movies, out there. And really anything that takes place in space, I'll watch it. I'll give it even the bad movies on Netflix, low budget movies. I won't say bad. I'll say low budget movies on Netflix that takes place in space. I will watch it. I'm in. I love the Alien movies.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going too far. I'll stop.
No. I mean, this is good. No, go ahead, DDoc.
Can I just make like a short comment on what Nick's saying? Is it's like my problem is when I watch space movies, like I never watched the new Star Trek movies, and I recently saw they were on Netflix, so I'm like, let me try watching Star Trek. I've never watched it. Let me try it, and I'm watching it. I'm just like, the X-Wing is cooler than that. I can't watch this. That's like my problem with it. Is I'm like, I'd rather see the Millennium Falcon. Like, okay. I can't do this.
That's a kick butt answer right there.
Yeah.
Brent, how about you?
The multiverse.
Okay, so I'm just gonna rattle off a whole bunch. I feel The Last Starfighter, I will sit and watch all the time. I'm a big fan of that one. I'm gonna throw one out there just because it's pure comedy gold from the 1980s. Weird Science. And then my current one that I would put in the sci-fi, it did come from a book, and I actually read the book first. I know this is like blasphemous for me to say. It's weird. Ready Player One. I don't know if anybody's ever watched it. I'm going to throw that one into the sci-fi category. It takes place in a alternate dystopian environment where the internet is basically everybody's life, and the guy has put in nostalgic 80s references all throughout the movie. If you haven't seen it, the book is more towards the 80s. I feel like the movie is more towards late 80s, early 90s, but either way, there's a lot of nostalgic stuff in there that I like a lot. Like the lead character drives a DeLorean.
Mm-hmm.
The book is not bound by licensing issues that the movie is bound by. And so
Correct.
The book has a lot more, has many, the book becomes almost it's like you're just being bombarded with 80s references, and it's glorious, but it's a fun read or a fun. Will Wheaton does the audiobook if you want to just listen to the audiobook, but the movie was fun as well.
And the whole thing is the whole thing is about putting Easter eggs into video games, more or less. And the author actually put Easter eggs into his book and gave away a DeLorean if you were able to figure out his Easter eggs. And somebody was able to figure it out because there was like a typo in there that was a .com website. And then if you played the video game, there was a way to go to beat in to find a key. And then eventually it led you, if you followed all of the steps, to give away a DeLorean. And after I found the book, G4 TV was still on my television, and they actually live on set. Ernest Cline gave away the DeLorean to the guy who beat the Easter eggs from his book.
Huh. Okay.
That's cool.
I've not seen or read that, so I've seen lots of previews for it and heard great things about it, but that's one I have not jumped into. Steve, how about you? What are some of your favorite sci-fi movies outside of Star Wars?
I have one quick confession to make. When Nick mentioned Interstellar, I thought he was talking about inner space for a second there, where Martin Short and Dennis Quaid shrinks down real small. Anyhow, so I was like, yes, someone knows Interstellar. Oh no, Interstellar. That's Matthew McConaughey. Mentioning comedy space or comedy sci-fi from the 80s, you can't go wrong with Spaceballs. That's a classic.
Your
Tron,
Schwartz is as big as mine.
I always love Tron. It's the original Tron is one that I think people think they like, but they never really watch. They just remember either playing the video game or the look of what they think it is, and then when they watch it, like, oh, this is kind of boring, but it's not. It's a really, really fun movie that has a lot of fun kind of philosophical ideas in it that open the door for that. And then Tron Legacy is just, I love Tron Legacy, from the soundtrack to the look and feel of it to the story of it and everything. But I think one of my favorite science fiction movies outside of Star Wars of all time is Independence Day, one of the greatest science fiction movies to come out of the 90s. And I'm pleased to say that answer is going to absolutely infuriate at the Dave M. Jones.
Okay. Of all time. Dave,
of all time, greatest science fiction movie, even better than Jurassic Park to come out of the 90s. Independence Day.
Wow.
Also, I like Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park was awesome for the dinosaurs, man. And I would say the Transformer, the first time I heard the Transformers sound from that original Transformers movie,
yes,
there were chills that went through my body. That first, you can't take that experience away.
Also, I would like to mention the live action Transformers movies. I also am a big fan of those, even the bad ones.
So Steve, do you think it would almost be better and easier if we just put the ones you don't like?
No, because I don't. What I realize is I feel like I'm skirting the line with some of this stuff as being science fiction, because I don't really like a lot of science fiction. I like Star Wars. I like the science fantasy of Star Wars, and I'm like, Doc D down there, DDoc. I'm that Dr. Dave, Dr. Demento. I'm like him. I love the Lord of the Rings. I love fantasy, that the aspect of fantasy. And I think it's funny. It's like some people might call it fantasy. No, DDoc, everybody calls it fantasy, because that's what it is. But I lean more toward the fantasy side of things a lot of times than the sci-fi side of things. And so to rattle off a few of the science fiction things, and you mentioned, Joe, superhero movies. Now, superhero movies are science fiction. Then just strap yourself in, guys. We'll go back to 1978 and start with Superman and just work our way up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that's a wheelhouse I love to be in.
And you know what? We might tag everybody at the end and ask for that before we break away here. But Brent, you're going to hit me real quick before I give you my answers.
I'm sorry. I just remembered one that is near and dear to my heart. Abyss. The Abyss was fantastic. I don't know what triggered it in something that Steve just said, but it just made me remember the underwater. I want to live in that underwater research station. Everything about the Abyss was something that was awesome to me. So I just remembered it. So I'll throw that one in there too.
You know what else? You know what else was good sci-fi was Terminator and Terminator 2, especially.
Yeah, they were
time travel stuff there.
There we go. Back to the Future, Terminator, bringing it all back together. I, because of my, just as everyone probably did in the 70s and 80s, were head over heels for everything that Harrison Ford did. Mine was Blade Runner. When I watched Blade Runner, I knew it was completely different than where we were going with Star Wars. But man, that one that one just got me. I just got so hooked on that. When did that come out? Like 82, something like that? Wasn't it right around there? There's something about it. It still sticks with me today. And everybody always, when I was younger and I had really white, my hair used to be a lot lighter and I had a lot more of it like down here. They said I looked like Rutger Hauer, which I don't think I do, but they said I did. So maybe I do, but I really like that movie. And, man, it just really hit. And then The Fifth Element. I love The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis, Mila Jovovich.
Multipass, yeah.
I mean, that one was just great. Blew me away as well. So those are just my two.
Fifth Element is a fun one. That is a fun answer. That's good. Yeah.
It just hit me just right. And who's the singer in that one? Who goes crazy?
That blue lady.
Chris
Tucker.
Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
That
Chris
guy
Tucker.
he was freaking hilarious in that movie right there. And I love Bruce Willis. So if we want to have a podcast sometime on superhero shows or just Die Hard in general, I'd be more than happy to do a Die Hard, 1 through 5. And yeah, although I didn't care for 5. Anyway, so
I thought you were gonna go Ice Pirates, Joe.
no. You know what? Time Bandits.
I was going to say,
Time
what about
Bandits.
Time Bandits?
I
I love Time Bandits.
I still have never seen Time Bandits.
What?
That's good.
Everyone always says that.
Sean
Sean
Connery
Connery.
coming in at the end.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just such a good movie. Steve, I'm going to say that you would probably like this movie.
That's what everyone says, and I just haven't watched it, but I will.
Okay, all right. I do feel like we should hit on our favorite superhero movie before we hop off here, but the floor is open. Does anyone have a Star Wars related topic from our guests to our regular co-hosts that they'd like to hit? We'll go with Nick first because I saw him put his hand up first. Go ahead, Nick.
So out of all of the shows that were mentioned in the release when they did the 10 Disney Plus shows, the one that I'm most excited for is The Acolyte. Today, out of bestmanbulletin.com, there's been some speculation that says that Acolyte is filming in February at Pinewood Studios in London. Now, it's not confirmed. I hope it's true. Out of all of them, that's the one that I am most excited about. And so when I saw that today, I went, man, I am very excited, and I hope that that's true. And hopefully in the next not too short time period, we'll see that coming.
Mass, you had a comment on that one.
Which one was that again? What was that one about? I can't remember.
That's actually a great question. From what I can understand, it's very, very little's known about it other than it's some sort of Sith, something that takes place before the Phantom Menace.
After the High Republic and before the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, which is great because I've been doing the Out of the Shadows audiobook, which was, I think, one of the most recent High Republic books. And I really like High Republic, but I'm ready for, hey, help me bridge the gap between High Republic and Phantom Menace. And if Acolyte delivers on that, I will be very, very happy.
Okay. Mr. Glosson, you had your hand up as well. What topic do you have for us?
Across the sinkhole marked planet of Utapau. The Utapauans ride among the majestic reptavian herbivores known as Varactils. With their long, strong strides and bounds, Varactils navigate even the uneven and vertical surfaces of their homeworld with hips that sway so much that Shakira is jealous.
This
Jedi
is the
Master-
best podcast we've done yet.
Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, upon Boga, a Varactyl friendly to him, fought the evil General Grievous and won.
I feel like, yeah, I've been in, this is, wow, this is great. You put this on Disney Plus, we're rocking and rolling, folks.
Come on.
Listen, it's been a fun running gag that I'm going to steal for my show.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you straight up, you give me the Star Wars version of Planet Earth.
Yep.
Or life. You've got the biome stuff you've done. Now zoom in and get on some of those critters and have a good narrator,
Dude.
do the narration. James Earl Jones could even do it,
Yeah.
and just I can't do a James Earl Jones, but yeah, I'm just saying like I think that'd be a fun kind of thing to do. And then everyone would be like, is this canon? Is this canon?
Oh my
Is the Star
god.
Wars Nature Show canon?
There'd be kids in their science
Oh my-
class going, I watched this the other night. Where do I find this creature? Yeah.
This is a
the
felt
Star
need
Wars
series.
Nature Show is totally not canon because they claim the Rancor comes from this planet when really we saw it comes from Pelusia in the Force Unleashed video games.
Brent,
It's so true.
Brent,
So true.
Maz, Lucas, or DDoc, any topics you'd like to hit as we wind things down? Brent, go ahead.
So is anyone slightly taken aback that it's December 29th that the Mandalorian season, or not Mandalorian, Book of Boba? So they kept saying December, and then they dropped December 29th as the first day of the last day of December, almost the last day of December being the first episode.
Kathleen Kennedy to you.
There we go.
I mean, it's
Guns
one of those
blazing.
things. It's one of those things. I guess I was hoping and like wishing that it was going to be like middle of December, but when they dropped December 29th, I was like, wow, that's not really December.
No.
I was really getting used to the Star Wars movies coming out right before Christmas. I was kind of getting in that rhythm. I think Disney Plus would be good to follow that because then you can sit around with the fam and your friends over the holidays and kind of talk about that.
Yeah.
Lucas, you mentioned something like that to me the other day, I think, when we were having lunch, that you were surprised it was so late in December.
Yeah, I was, because just as you were saying, Joe, I mean, because they're for the last, I don't know how many years, it's always been, pre-Christmas, kind of a holiday thing. Even The Mandalorian was released, November?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know Steve and I and a bunch got together for that first episode, and just kind of a time where you get together with people and just, I don't know, man. Which I know things are a little different now with toys and all that jazz, but even for my kiddos, it was like the movies coming out right before Christmas, all the merchandise was coming out right then, boom. But now, okay, we're gonna wait till afterwards. It'll still be a crazy time to watch the premiere. I mean, right after Christmas and before the start of the year. I don't understand. Well, didn't they also release that a lot of the different Disney works and projects, whether it was Star Wars or Marvel, a lot of that's been bumped back even later now. Didn't that come out this week too?
They just released and said a bunch of 5 got moved to 2023 or 2024.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on. So.
Well, and the thing is, I think, Lucas, you mentioned like the going and getting the toys and stuff. If you recall, when The Mandalorian dropped, and there at the end of that first episode of the original first series of the that first season, Baby Yoda's there, and there's no way to have a Baby Yoda. Like no one could get one for at least 6 to 8 weeks, and that was just when the Make Plushie finally came out. And now he's on everything, which I mean is rightfully so. Like that lets you know just how popular and how. And so I wonder what this is going to do. Those kinds of things are going to do to licensing distribution, and I think that the late release of the Book of Boba Fett might have something to do with the Marvel series releases. I know Hawkeye starts in November, and so they may be trying to get to the end of it before they put anything else out. But my thing is, it's like, just put stuff out, give people the option, give them a reason to keep coming back every day and streaming something, because they didn't have time yesterday to watch this episode. And, but they know better what they're doing, I guess. They're the ones with billions of dollars, not me.
This is true. And I'm looking forward to the Hawkeye. That's one of the ones that I'm actually, I think it looks like a good show. I'm excited to see that one. Hawkeye is one of my favorite characters for some weird reason. I don't think it's anybody's favorite character, but I like him. So,
seems that you like things with bows.
I do.
Because you liked
Green Arrow,
Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Are you an archer?
No, not at all. I just like them. I don't know.
Are you Robin Hood? Let's just ask.
Men in Tights.
Men in Tights. There it is. There we got to it. That's his favorite fantasy movie.
Yeah. DDoc.
We're men in tights.
DDoc. Any thoughts?
Talking
on
about delays, that was the first time I ever had to go to the bathroom in the middle of our podcast, by the way. So I'm sorry I was
Lovely.
gone for a
Thank
minute.
you.
But did you guys? Yeah, sorry I had to share that. But I have to say, did you guys talk about the Marvel delays? I know you're talking about how Boba Fett is further back, but Disney announced today they pushed a bunch of Marvel movies back like 3 months, 4 months, half a year. Like they really pushed a lot back, which I'm curious as to what's going on. Because I kind of thought about Star Wars a little bit in that, where I'm like, maybe they want to give those movies some more time. There's a lot of Star Wars stuff coming out. Maybe they want to give a little bit of a spotlight to Star Wars for a little bit.
I would hope and wish that was the case, but I don't think they put a spotlight on Star Wars yet. I think it's still a spotlight on MCU more than Star Wars. I would hope that's the case. But did they also move back Indiana Jones 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, Dave, it's crazy out there. Maybe they're
it's
all
all-
on shipping and they're all sitting in tankers out in the ocean right
No.
now.
It's all COVID related. It all comes back to I think they're trying to get some space between everything again and get on a better schedule and just give people time to get back going to the movies on a regular basis, because as successful as Shang-Chi was at the box office, it wasn't, if you're being honest, it wasn't Marvel Cinematic Universe successful. And it's a fun movie. Like I would recommend it to people to go see. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed it. But it's one of those things where they feel like they're not going to make their money if they don't back it up and give people more time to get comfortable. And two, if you notice, it kind of spaces things out from some of the TV stuff released too. But I go back to, it's going to do murder to the licensees. If you remember the Black Widow situation, before COVID hit, there were tons of shelves and shelves and shelves of Black Widow merchandise. Well, by the time that's finally released on Disney Plus, all the Black Widow merchandise is pretty much gone. Same thing with Shang-Chi. His merchandise hit shelves and the movie was still months out. And the way they do toy distribution nowadays is you don't get another wave to kind of catch up and enjoy the popularity of that. We've now moved on to the next thing. And so I think that people didn't get to celebrate and hang out with that movie as much as they would have liked to, or could have through merchandising and that sort of thing. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens down the line with those things.
Go ahead, Brent.
The other thing that I think is impacting it isn't just the ticket sales, but it's also currently, and I don't know if I haven't heard the resolution, there's possibly striking going on with the gaffers and the camera workers.
That's right.
So they may be pushing these back, anticipating this long strike and not being able to actually get into production. So the people that are, it's the American-based Film Association, and it's the gaffers. It's all of the people that work on set that aren't the producers, that aren't the talent. It's not the writers. It's everybody that's also in part of, that are integral. Those 10,000 names that come at the end of credits. All of those guys, and that union is fighting now with the organizations. And I want to say their D-Day time was Monday or Tuesday today to actually get a contract signed. And they were asking for better working hours, better relations. And I'm not sure where they're at, but they may have announced those pushbacks because they're anticipating it taking a while, or they may not have people on set. So that's pushing it back. That's not taking away from stuff that's already done. That's taking away that stuff that's in production and in the process of being filmed.
Okay. Brent, bring in the knowledge. Go ahead, Steve.
Dateline, Los Angeles, October 16th. The union that represents about 60,000 behind-the-scenes workers in film and television reached a tentative deal with producers on Saturday, averting a strike that threatened to cause widespread disruption in Hollywood, negotiators said. The International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, the IATSE, or I8C, which includes camera operators, makeup artists, sound technicians, and others, said negotiators agreed to a new 3-year contract. So, yeah, so they worked it out. But you're right. Disney had probably, because when we get this news about this kind of stuff, it is sometimes days, weeks, even months after they already know it on the inside. So they'd probably already decided to do that. and that ball was set in motion. And that's a great thought, Brent. I didn't think about that that strike was threatening to happen, but apparently it didn't happen.
Well, it was threatening. It was threatening Mandalorian season 3.
Yes,
like there was a possibility that they could have delayed Mandalorian season 3 if it was a long strike, if they didn't make this deal.
Yep.
So before I go to mass, Steve, if you want to work on Attleboro saying IHC, that would be good. Think about how to fit that in Los Angeles, the IHC.
In Los Angeles, the IHC threatens to shut down all film production. What a vicious animal, just trying to get what is coming to it.
Pass. I know I bring you on this show and I love to just watch you laugh and smile and think, what are all these idiots talking about here? But any Star Wars topic that you want to hit on as we get close to finishing up and things like that. We've talked about a ton of things. Is there anything Star Wars related? I know you're finishing up a book series, not Star Wars related. Anything else Star Wars related you would want to hit on before we move on and shut it down?
No, not really. But when is the next thing that's coming out? I mean, when is the next thing we're going to see?
I think it's Mando or Book of Boba.
Book of Boba Fett.
Boba,
Is it Book of Boba Fett?
Well, no, it's the Star Wars Galaxy of Creatures animated shorts.
Yeah, it's Book of Boba.
Is that before or after the Under the Helmet? What is it? November 12th.
Yeah, November 12th. We're getting a special thing on Disney Plus where they're going to talk about Boba Fett, right? They're going to do a Boba Fett
That's right.
segment, and then we're all hoping that they're going to take some things from upcoming series and maybe give us a little peek.
Because what is that? That's Disney Plus Day.
Yeah.
But December 29th for a big tentpole kind of thing is Book of Boba Fett. Go ahead, DDoc.
It's also my 5-year wedding anniversary on November 12th, which I wish I remembered when I told my wife, oh, there's a Boba Fett special coming out November 12th. She said, oh, really?
What else?
She's like, that's a pretty special day, isn't it? I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't know if it's going to be an episode. And she was looking at me. And then I was like, oh, yeah.
My gift to you. Look at that.
5 years.
We just keep giving and giving. Ooh, yeah. You might want to get that tattooed like right on the wrist area or something to where it's right by your watch.
Never forget it.
Yeah. Lucas, anything you want to finish? Any Star Wars topic you want to hit on before we kind of break bread here and move on?
No, I think we've covered a great deal of stuff. For those that are wanting more Star Wars activity, come to collecting. Always check out the Cantina. We've got all kinds of fun there, and love for folks to join up if they haven't already. And got stuff rocking and roll Friday, next week, all kinds of stuff. So lots of fun to be had in the Cantina. So
agreed. Yeah, these guys are great, and you guys just finished the Marvel What If just recently, right? You guys and Adam Bray.
Yeah.
So,
we kind of joined forces. Geek Out Loud and the Cantina joined forces. Adam jumped in there. We did every 2 episodes of What If. I had a lot of fun doing it, but just wrapped up that.
So I Steve, most of these guys, we've had Adam on now 4 or 5 times, and Adam is great, but I hope most of these guys know I learned of Adam kind of listening to things that you were doing, because you'd have him on, and the dude is one of our favorites. He brings a different perspective on everything.
Yeah.
And so I'm thanking you for introducing him, because I'm sitting there going, who is this Adam Bray guy? Listen to you. And then I'm hearing all the books he's been a part of and all his world travels. And man, he's got a different point of view on the world. And he's seen and lived a different life than so many other people that I've ever talked to. So it is great. But I probably need to just let him and you come on and me just kind of sit in the middle and let you two bounce back and forth. And
as long as his internet connection holds up, that'll be.
That's so true with Adam.
Dang.
He's going to hear that and he's going to be like, dang it. Yeah. Well, look, guys, we've been going for a long time. It's not my 5th anniversary. It'll be my 30th anniversary next summer, but I do still want to make it to my 30th anniversary. So doing 2-hour shows and that kind of thing never tends to do well with that. And my wife is a lovely woman who lets us do this fun stuff and laugh every week. So I try to keep it shorter than longer so she can say, hey, you like hanging out with me more than you like hanging out with them, right? And then I can prove to her by spending time with her. So so we've been going for a nice long show here. It's been great. I want to thank you guys, all the regular co-hosts. It's so great to see Brent back in the room with us, and we're gonna, hopefully talk Legions this weekend. Nick, DDoc, Mass, thank you so much for always being a part of things. Lucas, again, first time on the show, and we want to thank you for being a part of it. And I would follow up your comments of, go to Facebook, go find Chewie's Cantina, and follow it, be a member of it, and go check it out and buy some good things because they have great stuff to sell there. And Steve, as always, you're one of the guys who got me into doing this, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. Didn't know me from Adam, and here you are coming on our show and making us laugh, and so I really appreciate all you've done, and how much you and Lucas and guys like that do great things for the Star Wars community. So thank you.
Well, I can honestly say I wouldn't be doing any of this still if it weren't for Lucas. So he's the one that keeps me involved in all this stuff.
That's right. We have weekly meetings at a local Chinese restaurant.
That's right.
Well,
That's
same
true.
every week.
That's true.
There we go, guys. We need to have more weekly meetings at restaurants. We don't do that. We're all
It's a
we all
game
live with
changer.
each other.
I'll tell you,
So
it's a game changer.
we'll talk about that during Legions this weekend. To all you guys, again, thank you. To our listeners, thank you. To our followers on Twitter and different social medias, thank you. Follow us again at RuletheGalaxySW on Twitter, RuletheGalaxySW@gmail.com. Rule the Galaxy, just plain Rule the Galaxy on Facebook and on YouTube, which we will post this video very soon on there. Thank you all. Chapter 105 is in the books. I think we're going to call this title the one where Steve made us laugh half the show. So thank you guys
Terrible
all.
title. It's a terrible title.
We're not really going to do that. We're not going to do that. We actually go to the Chinese restaurant and vote on titles, Steve.
Okay,
So
good.
yeah, we'll do that. Signing off, guys. Thank you again. Till next week. May the force be with you.